But one of the interesting things, and I think about this all the time, is from the time Bernie passed till now, certainly I think society has changed, the way they digest entertainment has changed. So I think it would have been difficult. I think a lot of people would have had a hard time with some of the things that Bernie said and intended to things in his act. So.
I mean, obviously, speaking on it and being on the front, do you have any aspirations of being a political figure?
I like pussy and liquor too much. I
do. Steve Harvey wanted Bernie Mac out of the picture, at least that's what D.L. Hughley claims, and he's not biting his tongue about it. Yeah, you heard that right. Behind all those big smiles, sharp suits, and that so-called Kings of Comedy brotherhood, there was tension bubbling underneath. DL's now saying what folks in the industry been whispering for years, that the bond between those comedy legends wasn't brotherhood at all. It was competition, power plays, and straight-up ego disguised as love.
Right before we went out on stage on the King tour, Bernie used to pat us all. Bernie was an athletic dude, so he used to pat us on the rear end like basketball players.
You talk about being a witness to it.
And now, decades later, DL's tearing the mask off, claiming Steve Harvey wasn't just competing with Bernie Mac, he wanted him gone. Let's break it down. To the public, the original Kings of Comedy looked unstoppable. 4 icons: Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hughley, and Bernie Mac. They sold out arenas, broke records, and had fans crying with laughter. But behind that stage energy, things weren't so picture perfect. People close to the crew say Bernie Mac wasn't like the rest. He was too real, too raw, too street for Hollywood politics. He didn't play the fake game or chase approval, and that's exactly why folks claim Steve Harvey couldn't handle him. Bernie was authentic, and that made him dangerous in a world built on image. It all kicked off in the late 90 seconds when the Kings of Comedy tour was on fire.
Do you consider yourself a king of comedy?
After Bernie left, them same 3 guys I'm telling you about, the Kings, right? Because DL is the greatest. There's no DL slander gets tolerated. They came to me. I was supposed to be the 4th king. I got the offer,
then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie, and I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? Fuck you. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. The reason you was supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Not it was gonna be called the Kings of Comedy, it was Steve's tour. These are the guys opening for him. That's why it was such a big deal. But you couldn't do it, because you can't beat the best. And until you humble yourself, you will forever be kinged by the king. You stop it. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it, because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest, period.
Every show was packed, every city screaming their names. Black excellence shining bright. But even among kings, jealousy can creep in. D.L. Hughley said the vibe backstage was off. Steve was always trying to be the face of the group. The leader, the one the media ran to, the one who grabbed the mic first, and the one who took credit for the whole vision. Bernie Mac was the people's champ, no question about it. Every night he hit that stage, the crowd went wild. Folks screamed his name like he was a rock star. Bernie, Bernie, Bernie. It was electric. But according to D.L. Hughley, that's when Steve Harvey's whole vibe started to shift. Steve's got pride, polish, and a hunger to be in charge. He's the type that needs to be the boss. But on that stage, Bernie was the boss effortlessly. DL says the tension was there from the very start. Steve wanted everything to run clean, scripted, and corporate, while Bernie was raw and untamed, a real one who didn't care about Hollywood politics or fake smiles. He didn't kiss up to execs or play nice for clout. And that kind of realness shakes people who build their brand on control. So when fans started showing Bernie more love, chanting his name louder than Steve's, that's when, allegedly, Steve started plotting.
Suites and I was in the bedroom and I hear the door open and I go, hey man, you in the wrong room. I said, I'm sorry. And he said, oh man, I'm sorry. And he kept moving around. I'm like, who is that? He said, who is that? I said, motherfucker, you in my room. And this boy goes, who the fuck you talking to? I grab a gun and I walk into the room and Bernie has a gun standing. I'm like, and we both just start laughing. And I'm like, oh, you. That was actually.
DL claims Steve was the type to flash a big grin in public but pull quiet moves behind the curtain. He says Steve didn't just want Bernie out of the spotlight. He wanted him out of the tour. During the Kings of Comedy's peak, things got messy. Contracts, pay cuts, and who'd headline each city started causing serious drama. DL says Bernie found out he was getting lowballed while deals were being handled behind closed doors without his say. Steve was out there being the face of the tour, doing interviews, posing for press, while Bernie, the one actually closing the shows, was left in the shadows. But Bernie wasn't one to bite his tongue. He called it like he saw it, telling people, "They don't want me here, but the people do." That's when the rift between him and Steve got real. DL remembers seeing Bernie sitting in his dressing room quiet, frustrated, feeling like an outsider in his own empire. Cedric tried to keep the peace, but DL says Steve didn't care. His eyes were already on Hollywood, talk shows, and bigger fame. Bernie, he just wanted to make people laugh.
Initially, I was going to do it, and it kept my schedule. It just didn't work out, but I'm glad I didn't. I thought it got to be too messy, and I said it out loud. I think for a while, Club Shay Shay was like Wendy Williams with a weight set. Like, hey, this dude, I mean, it was messy. The reason that those people went on Club Shay Shay in its first iteration before it became successful, it's because we saw what he did, and the reason I was going to go on it is because we saw what Skip did to him. I said any number of things about the way Skip sunned him.
Is that when he said, "Put your glass back on," or something like that?
That was so horrible to me that I think a lot of people were determined to help this black man be successful because of what had happened to him. And to kind of curate all that bull and have that place that they worked so hard for you to have, so you would have your own space, be just an amalgamation and curate all the bull that is happening in our community seemed insulting to me.
Right. And we're talking about, man, some of the same people that rallied around him to make sure he was good.
Different goals, different morals, different worlds. And when egos collide at the top, something always cracks. Then came the Kings of Comedy movie in 2000, and Bernie Mac's star exploded even brighter. Bernie Mac set in that Kings of Comedy movie, straight up legendary. That "I ain't scared of you" moment became a piece of comedy history that still gives people chills. After that, Bernie wasn't just a stand-up star, he was Hollywood gold. TV, movies, endorsements, his name was everywhere. And according to DL Hughley, that's when Steve Harvey started feeling the pressure heavy. He wanted to be the one getting those Hollywood calls, not Bernie. When the Bernie Mac show hit Fox and blew up, that tension exploded for real. Steve had his own sitcom running at the same time, but Bernie's show was pulling bigger numbers and bigger love from the people. Fans connected with Bernie's mix of raw humor and real heart. He was the everyday man with superstar timing. And that, according to DL, burned Steve up inside. Steve had always been known as the clean king, the polished, crossover favorite. But Bernie, he did it his way. No fake smiles, no watered-down act, no begging for approval, just truth, grit, and talent. That's what made him unstoppable. DL once shared a story that really paints the picture.
Let's go back to Kings of Comedy though real quick, because I was in Chicago on the Steve Harvey show when it was kind of the reunion special with you guys.
About 4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
And you guys talked about what it meant to be on that stage at that time, really putting a stake in the ground for what not just excellent comedians look like, but what also black excellence, right, could look like. Knowing that Bernie didn't get to, experience the reunion with you guys, how do y'all still keep in touch?
Well, Steve and I talk all the time, and Sid and I talk, so we're very close and still keep in touch. Now, obviously, we miss Bernie.
He said that during one show, Steve allegedly tried to have Bernie's mic time cut short, claiming Bernie was running over schedule and messing with the flow. But DL said that wasn't the truth. Steve just couldn't follow him. Bernie was too good. The crowd went so crazy that whoever came after him looked like an opening act. DL said straight up, Steve used to hate going on after Bernie because he couldn't match that energy. Bernie wasn't just funny, he was magic, the kind of presence that makes the whole room shake. Now, DL's not saying Steve ever wished anything bad on Bernie, but he made it clear Steve didn't mind when Bernie's spotlight dimmed. DL claims Steve always wanted to be the last one standing, the face of the Kings, the name that history remembered. And in the end, that's exactly what happened. After Bernie Mac passed in 2008, Steve Harvey became the lone king, the TV uncle, the radio host, the motivational speaker, the game show face of America. But for some, that success still feels like it came with a shadow, the question that never fades. Did he get there clean? Years later, DL Hughley finally spoke up in an interview. He said, Bernie was the realest one out of all of us. He didn't play the game, and that's why the game played him.
And
and Bernie butted heads?
Yeah. I mean, you know, they were the kind of guys that they both alpha male. Steve was hot. We had the Steve Harvey show, so we had a national TV show. Bernie Mac was the hit comedian at the time, and then DL was hot. He had a TV. We did it. It was just me, Bernie, and Steve.
Right.
And Steve closed.
When they asked if Steve was jealous, DL just paused and said, "Let's just say Steve wanted to be the only king." That one line from DL Hughley, it broke the internet. Fans went crazy because it confirmed what people had been whispering about for years, that behind all the laughs, there was real tension, heavy ego, and quiet power plays among the kings of comedy. But to keep it fair, Steve Harvey stood firm, denying every bit of it. He said time and time again that he loved Bernie Mac like a brother, that there was never any beef, and that folks are just trying to stir up drama. He's even shed tears in interviews talking about Bernie's passing, but people close to both men swear the energy told another story. Bernie was from the south side of Chicago, raw, fearless, no nonsense. Steve was from Cleveland, sharp, calculated, and always moving with a businessman's mindset.
Because, like, y'all would be together if it wasn't for me. Like, okay, bro. Like, nobody
you ain't
coming
told
to
her one joke.
Nobody coming to see.
Two different codes, two different hustles, two different worlds. And when pure realness crashes into pure ambition, sparks are bound to fly. DL once dropped a line that cut deep. Bernie was too pure for Hollywood, and in a world full of fakes, purity gets punished. That one hit fans in the gut. Bernie wasn't about glitz or industry games. He was a blue-collar comic who came up through grind and pain. He didn't care about playing nice. He cared about keeping it real. And that truth made him a legend, but it also made him dangerous to people who built their image on perfection and polish. After Bernie passed, DL claimed Steve started reshaping the story, calling Bernie his brother and reminiscing about their bond. But DL hinted that wasn't the full truth. He said, "It's funny how people cry over you once you're gone, but couldn't pick up the phone when you were alive." Whew, that line stung. It left everyone wondering, was there a call that never happened? An apology left unsaid? Something that should have been fixed before it was too late? We may never know for sure, but DL made it sound like there was more heartbreak behind the curtains than fans ever realized. And the wildest part? Even after all these years, fans still take sides. Some accuse DL of just stirring up mess for attention, while others say he's finally speaking a truth that's been buried under fame, politics, and fake smiles. But one thing nobody can deny, the story of black comedy isn't just about laughter and success. It's also a story about ego, pride, and the cost of staying real in a world that rewards the polished. When money, fame, and power get mixed together, even brothers start seeing each other as rivals. DL Hughley dropped a line that hit fans straight in the heart. Steve wanted to be the face of the Kings. Bernie wanted to be the soul. And in the end, the face survived, but the soul died. That's chilling because when you really think about it, he's not wrong. Steve Harvey's still everywhere, hosting shows, giving speeches, inspiring crowds. But Bernie Mac, even though he's gone, his presence still fills every stage where real comedy lives. Because legends like him don't die when their hearts stop, they die when people forget them. And DL's making sure Bernie Mac's name never fades away. But this whole story, it's bigger than Steve, bigger than DL. It's about what happens when friendship meets fame, when loyalty gets tested by ego, when love turns into silence. DL once said, "We were brothers, but sometimes brothers fight, and sometimes you lose the one who never deserved the pain." That line right there, pure heartbreak. Because this isn't gossip, it's grief. This is pain that never healed. Maybe that's why DL finally spoke out, not to bash Steve, not to drag Bernie's legacy, but to finally let go of what's been eating at him for years. Behind all the laughs and sold-out arenas, there were real wounds, real lessons about envy, brotherhood, and how fame can twist even the strongest bond until it breaks. So yeah, DL Hughley said Steve Harvey secretly wanted Bernie gone, but maybe the truth cuts deeper than that. Maybe Steve didn't want Bernie gone from the world, just gone from the spotlight. Maybe he couldn't handle standing next to a man who didn't need approval to shine. Because in Hollywood, authenticity is dangerous, and Bernie Mac, he was too real for the game. That's what made him immortal. So what do you think? Was DL Hughley speaking truth, or just stirring up ghosts from the past? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about it. One thing's for sure, the Kings of Comedy will never be the same without Bernie Mac. Hit that like, subscribe, and share this video to keep the convo alive. Because here at Buzzing Drama, We bring you the stories the streets are talking about. Don't forget to drop a comment, and I'll see you on the next one.